Welcome to the Dope and Tape show. I have no idea what episode it is.
88, 88, baby, 88.
And that's a good number, Mike. I was on episode 88. That's something you can remember. Well, we're so glad that you guys came and hung out with us live. If you're not live and you're listening on Spotify while you drive, then welcome to the show. This has been
you almost nailed that.
10 months in, and where are we at? We're at 617 subscribers on YouTube in 10 months. That's incredible.
Roughly,
we could not ask for anything better than what have y'all been doing and joining our movement.
There's 100 on Twitch.
That's incredible.
What up, Twitch?
100?
So that's like
I remember the first
700
episode
people
we were
subscribed.
sitting on the couch. Like, are we live?
No,
I don't know.
No, you were on the couch. I was right here, bro.
Oh, okay. I was on the couch. Yeah, I remember that first one. Well, anyway, we got Mike. Mike's here from Alabama. He's an Alabama fan from what I heard, unfortunately. So I'm a Dogs fan. And as you know, when the Dogs kick off the football, they go Dogs, sick 'em. Well, then also, people just say go Dogs, right? So I have two kids. I got an oldest son and then a youngest son, and then my youngest was at the time maybe 3, and then my oldest was, oh geez, what was he, like 11, something like that, maybe 10. Well, anyway, for an entire year outside of football season, my son was teaching my youngest 3-year-old to say, when they say go Dogs, you say roll Tide. Because I hate Alabama, bro. I hate Alabama. I hate them. So, and then he would even go in deeper. He would say, when they say you're wrong, they're just trying to trick you. Now listen to me. And his brother is his hero. So he's not going to think anything after that. So football season rolls around. My 3-year-old, every time everybody gets together and say, go Dogs, he says, roll Tide. And everybody's like, no. And Brian, what are you teaching this kid? And still to this day, unbreakable. Like one of the best, I would say, practical jokes that's ever been done.
It sounds like you're doing them right. I mean, it sounds like you got them set up. Just my opinion. Saying. How many national championships y'all have? Just I can't remember.
In a row? I mean.
Oh, okay. Shots fired. I got you. Shots fired. All right.
This ain't the past, man. We're moving on. All right.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll see what happens.
We just had to get one of your coaches to do it, huh?
There you go. There you go.
Well, anyway, man, we're so glad to have you. I don't know if y'all are watching YouTube, but Bobby, unfortunately, is here as well. So he's gonna be saying some things from time to time.
You're such a fucking asshole. And then so I work from like 4:30 a.m. up until like I got home at 8:20, and I showered, and then I still beat Brian into the pre-show, like I do every time. But
I was still working.
Go ahead.
I had to send
go ahead. You can continue.
Emails.
You can continue now. Join us and say hi.
Doing standpipe testing. But now you're an inspector, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what. Okay, I identify as an inspector, so I'm not in that role anymore. But I gotta say, even my dad said it. It's the best job ever. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than being an inspector. I think it's a blast.
You've really got the best of both worlds, especially if you have a service background, but you've got I can't sit behind a desk all day, but at the same time, I figure, I don't want to be like Bobby and just turn wrenches till I'm, get 60, and so
as long as I can, baby.
I mean, you can have forearms like Bobby.
That's
like Popeye.
Yeah, old man strength right there. But in all seriousness, no, it really is best of both worlds because you have that interaction. You're in the field all the time. You take what you learn from the past and service and apply it, and codes and standards are always changing, and every day is different. Sometimes it can get a little monotonous, but especially, man, when you get to these different sites and, oh, hey, there's a pre-action system over here. Oh, no one knew about it. Stuff like that. It can be constantly changing. So I love it.
or that's been missed for years, and look at that,
Dude,
how they missed that. You
dude,
know,
Yes.
all
dude,
those
Yes.
things. I just think it's so cool. We
dude.
get to see as inspectors places that many people will never even imagine even exist or go to or think
Oh
about.
shit! Oh my bad.
And it's, I mean, I've been in
Trying to share this here.
well, I've done inspections I cannot talk about the location of, or that I did the inspection of. I did inspections of the uh the place where they designed and engineered the F-22 Raptor. Like, that's just so cool, man. I did military contracts. Like,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
super hard to beat. I mean, the stuff we do. And then,
Yeah.
then you can also be stuck walking apartments. So, you know,
There's that.
there's there's
Look,
that too. Or
look.
sitting at a panel at a hospital, like, oh, I got it.
Oh,
I got
dude.
it. Okay,
All
I
right.
got it.
Apartments are no apartments and strip malls like plazas. No, that's for the
You're
birds, man.
the
No, give me
oh.
the
All right.
give me the military contracts, the big giant dirty warehouses with a bank of risers. Give me
Giant
a nice
storm
foam
out.
system with a storage tank. That's what's up. Apartments, I'm falling asleep at this point. Like it's just okay. 2.5 inch ready riser, flow tamper, got it. Next flow tamper. Oh, give me something different, man. I'm ready. Come on, what
Yeah,
else you
Mike.
got?
I
Mike is
Yeah.
know.
Mr. CFPS now.
Dude, just look, abacadabra all the way down on the test. That's the secret to pass it. Just A B C D A B C D A B C D. That test.
Matt,
No, I'm
Matt,
telling you, I've
Matt's in
taken some
here.
NICETs. Man, Matt knows what's up. Actually, I hollered at Matt before I took that. He gave me some real good advice because there's not a lot of people that have it, man. But that CFPS is a game changer, and I've got a pile of NICETs and all that stuff, but that's the one test where I literally got to the end and I'm like, sweet, answered all the questions. And I'm like, oh crap, I have 2 minutes left to go back and review my questions. And that's never happened to me before. I'm like, I'm screwed. I thought when I got it's 100 questions, but it's 3 hours. And that
Wow.
sounds easy, but the books are about that thick and there's two of them. And it's on everything and anything fire protection from programs to wildfires to
Abracadabra. I'm gonna take it.
all the way down, just abacadabra, and just I got lucky.
That's
No,
a good one.
I still don't know how I did it, man. I really don't. I mean, it was a lot of studying though. 30 minutes a day, uh, discipline. 30 minutes a day of studying for 3 months straight. And if I missed a day of studying, I would just make it up the next day. So it's like, oh well, I didn't study Friday. Saturday, I got to put an hour in. So get up early Saturday morning, put an hour in. That's the just hitting them
That's a
books,
good way
learning
to
how to
do it.
navigate.
That's a good way. Just and make sure you get
I,
that studying in.
yeah. Yeah, you can't. I mean,
CFP. You
it's
gotta
hard
put
to.
it. You gotta put it in your name now. CFPS. You're
Yeah,
gonna see that on the Zoom. So
yeah.
that's Matt. I posted in the NFPA 25 Inspectors Forum on Facebook. So hopefully I'm allowed to do that. And if I'm not, back me up
Yeah.
and make sure that they don't delete me. What's up,
Yeah, I
everybody?
mean,
Tommy,
you're
John,
basically the
Tad,
page's daddy, so you can
Chad,
just tell them how
Matt,
it goes.
Eric,
That's the
Austin,
best page to be on out of all the Facebook
Fire
pages.
Sprinkler Guy, Corlin,
Okay.
Gage. Thanks for joining, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let's see
So
if I can share
I
here
talked to
on Twitch. I don't
well,
see any
let me
Twitchers.
put it this way. I heard from Ferguson Fire and I heard from Snap Drill that they're gonna come out with something awesome. And
Ooh,
they just, I think they got the design right like yesterday. Officially on my birthday they got it right, which is cool. Is when I see that new tool I can be like, they got it right on my birthday. But Ferguson Fires are going to sell it exclusively with Snapdrill here in the US, and I'm excited to check it out. They told me a little bit about it and I think everybody's gonna love it. So as soon as it comes out, we're gonna get our hands on it, and we'll probably ship it up to Bobby and get him to do some work in his garage.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard an echo.
So super excited. Yeah, I think it was on his
Yeah, so
side.
I'm gonna get the garage squared away. I was supposed to be working on that after work this week, but it's been raining after work and during the week, and then I had to do the standpipe test.
But that's a big project for you. I mean, you got to put up the new garage, and then
Well,
move everything around.
my workbench and my workstation and all my tools is pretty organized. My garage just has like It's too much stuff to really move in. I got to move a bunch of stuff out so I can move my car up.
Well,
And
how long
then
you been in that house?
since 2013.
So that's a long time. So you just like collecting stuff that you might like use later? Like on the job site, you see something just like, I might use that like not this year, but maybe next year.
And then
You
I
just,
just
you just
fucking,
grab it
and
and
then
put
I
it in the
just
corner.
fucking move it from here to
It's
here
got
to here to here. If I can move it all around. Yeah, well, I got the plywood. Like I couldn't turn down the plywood. Like 15 sheets of 3/4 fireboard plywood. Perfect sheets. They were like, it's gonna go in the dumpster. I'm like, no, it's not. Stuff them babies in the van, and we did. What do they do down in Alabama with the trucks, where they take the rear suspension out and then they make the front real high? That's what the van was doing on the
no,
way
I think
home.
that's in the Carolinas. They call it the Carolina squat.
Oh, the
That's
squat.
right.
That's what the
That's
van.
right.
That's what the van
And
did
you know what's
all the way
funny? It's
home. We're like,
actually
woo!
illegal in Carolinas.
Yeah, that's silly. That is silly. But
Oh, it's
that's
freaking
and
ridiculous.
so the plywood. Yeah, I've been moving around, but yeah, I'm a little bit of a collector, if you would say. But I use the stuff. I get around to using it.
I mean, look at your signs behind you. You even stole an oxygen sign.
Dumpster. Dumpster.
You sure?
Yeah. Oh, dude, dumpster. But I've definitely had I've had a sign thing. I got a bunch of signs. My garage got a bunch of signs in it too.
If I see signs, I just try to throw a dope and tape sticker on it everywhere I
That's what
go.
I do now. But in my younger years, I would borrow the sign.
Throw it in the back.
Actually, they were redoing my road, and so I got my street sign I grew up on, the stop sign, and the dead end all from there. They put up a new stop sign, a new dead end, and that one was just sitting on the ground. So we just
No, that's
confiscated. You know what I'm
cool.
saying?
Yeah, that's cool. So, Mike, you didn't start in fire protection. You signed up, didn't you?
Yeah, it was kind of a so I guess I got to go back to I graduated high school. I went right to the Navy, and
Oh,
when
thanks,
I went
buddy.
in, high five. I ended up being an aircrew survival equipment technician. So essentially, it's all life safety for pilots and aircraft.
Wow.
So I did that and got out. Had no idea what I wanted to do. Tried college, wasn't sure. I'm going to say the word and everyone's going to freak out, but just hear me out. So I ended up going to Centos and I went to the uniform division, not fire protection division. So, but hear me out. I did it for like a year and I just was not for me, just not my bread and butter. I quit and I was like, no, I got to do something else. Got to find something. The reason I went with them too is because I started looking up military friendly employees and they were listed in the top 10. So I was like,
Oh
well,
wow.
I'll
Maybe
try it.
because they're so big. Or why would
Yeah.
you say? Is it just because they're so big or I mean, did they really treat you well? How
Yeah. I
was it
mean,
over there?
yeah, no, they look in the uniform division when I got there doing that, it's the pay was great, man. I mean, the benefits were amazing. So it was a good fit, I mean, they had all kinds of companies up there, but I went with them for all the different reasons. And but I couldn't do it. I got out and I was like, well, on to the next one. Who's next on the list? And I got a call from a friend of mine who had worked there and she called me and she's like, hey, they've got a fire protection division. You should come back and you should work over here. And I'm like, fire protection? What do you mean? Like, oh, like life safety, fire extinguishers, sprinklers, alarm. Oh, life safety. That's what I used to do in the Navy and I loved it. So yeah, all right, I'll check it out. I'm like, well, we got a warehouse position open if you want to come here and do that. Sure. Went in, worked in the warehouse, stocking material, ordering stuff, doing all that kind of stuff. And then ended up getting in the field, working on doing fire extinguishers, being a fire extinguisher tech, emergency lights. Loved it. Met my wife there. My wife is actually
What?
she was a fire extinguisher technician at the time when I met her. And
Oh,
so
who's that girl? She's single? She been here for
no, I married her and she moved me to Alabama because this was in Florida. So
Oh
it
man.
worked out perfect. And but when I needed some training, when I was just coming to the field, she'd already been there. I'm like, hey, I want to learn about fire extinguishers. Can I come hang out with you? And then the rest is history. But it was pretty awesome. So I ended up doing that and then got into, said, hey man, that sprinkler stuff looks kind of cool. And it was awesome because they were like, do you want to do sprinkler or alarm? I'm like, I don't know. Well, why don't you try them both out? Cool. So they actually gave me like a 2 week, I went 2 weeks sprinkler, 2 weeks alarm, and I came back. I'm like, No, forget those wires, man. I want sprinkler. Like, this is awesome. The first
Give me
time,
some iron
like the
pipe.
first job I went on, we were doing a fire pump test and I was hooked. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
this is awesome. Like,
Flowing water across the parking lot.
oh my God. I just instantly was like, what? This is so cool. Like, this, I found it. Like, that was it.
Bobby
So,
doesn't get to see that all the time.
Yeah,
man, it's a
yeah,
different world,
it's
man.
cool. It always is cool. We just that's what I was just doing like an hour ago. We were watching the fire pump run and flowing water through all the flow meters, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
I
It,
miss
it,
it.
That's the
I
best part of
miss
it,
it
that's the best part of the job. Is flowing,
for sure.
flowing 1,000 gallons a minute,
it
750
was
gallons a minute,
awesome,
whatever
man.
whatever
And
you're flowing.
the cool thing about them is that and the thing I tell everyone, like, before you bash on them too, the best thing that they did was they were somewhat of a newer office. So what they did was they went and brought in a bunch of senior guys from every company you could think of, guys from Grinnell, VSC, all the big players in the game. They recruited all these guys. So like the youngest guy in the department had 15 years experience. And so we had like combined like 6, 7 guys that were
Freaking
15,
studs.
20, 25 years
Mhm.
and in all different aspects. This guy did install, this is service, this, so you just, I'm like a sponge. I'm like, I can learn from every one of these guys. And that's exactly what I did. I worked with different guys and, I mainly did service, starting out. So it was just learning tips and tricks. And these guys were awesome because they were just like, hey, kid, let me show you how to do this. And then I go to another guy and he's like, no, don't do it that, do it this way. And I'm like, oh, that's easier. So I took a little bit from all these guys and kind of made it my own and worked on it from there. And so as much as that company gets bashed through all the forums, and I get it to a point, but that company
Yeah.
was really good to me in
It's
a lot of ways. But Bobby, you made the comment, and it's so dang true when you said fitters go to Cintas to die.
I heard that too. That's
That
exactly what
is
I was
so
gonna say. My
true.
dad told
So
me the
true.
first time that
I got no
oh,
hate on the Cintas guys. All right.
No,
that's where they go
look,
to die.
They do.
no, but it was, I laughed so hard when you said that because I'm like
Because they
thinking, I'm
had the
like,
best insurance and benefits.
yes, and they
That's
paid
good.
good. But I was thinking about, I'm like Mike Donovan, my former, yeah, he was pretty old, and oh, he was pretty.
He's here.
Dang, I'm like,
I tell you
yeah,
what,
that's about
Cintas is
right.
never
Yeah.
gonna
Mike's in the
sponsor an
chat. Mike's
episode.
in the
Let
chat
me
right
tell you
now.
that.
Oh man, that was my first foreman, man. He's freaking awesome,
He
man.
said he
He taught
worked.
me.
I worked with Mike. He's fast study and damn fine sprinkler man. Congratulations on your success, sir.
Dude, he was an awesome foreman. He taught me a lot, man. Like, I mean, he took me under his wing and taught me a pile of stuff. And on that, man, we had some fun times, man. It was great. And that's kind of where it branched out, man. It just was service, and then hey, get your nice sets, they'll pay for them and all that stuff. So it was like, man, awesome.
That
Give
is
you
awesome.
bonuses. I just took off. I just grabbed it and ran, man. It's like, and again, it goes back to that discipline. Like, hey, man, get the books. Just, you don't have to sit there and pound for 5 hours. Just read a little bit every night, and next thing you know, it
That
just
that's it.
repetitive.
And
Yeah.
there's always I feel like there's always advancement. You can always just learn something new. I don't think you could ever learn it all.
Heck no, no way. And then so then my wife and I decided we were going to move. She's originally from Alabama, and we wanted to move here, mainly be closer with family. We decided to start a cattle farm, which is a whole nother topic. But
Whoa.
so we got a bunch of cows, and we bought a bunch of land, and we moved up here, and that's when I got hooked up where I'm at now. And here it's just the fitters are all union. So it was like, hey, you can be an inspector or you can go find another company. But
Whoa.
I decided to hook up with them. And the difference here was that their inspectors, they want to do everything. So they want you to do alarms, sprinkler, suppression, pumps, you name it, backflows. So then I got here and I'm like, well, man, I really got to get hot and heavy on alarms and I got to learn the suppression stuff. And I got to, so you start doing all these different things. And that's a lot to not to change subject, but that's where a lot of companies I think are wanting to go is they want these tribrids is what I call them. They want these guys
Um,
that can go into a place, do everything. And
I
that's
I talked to
a hard task.
a
That's how
recruiter
we're
one
doing it.
one time. They call them super inspectors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So
That's
yeah,
that's
that's where
that's
a lot
that's
of
where it's
companies.
going. I mean, that's the scary thing is that's where it's going, but they want to turn them out and they want, it's hard enough learning one discipline. And I tell these guys, I'm like, dude, you know how long it was before I did my first solo anything? It was like 2 years. Like it's gonna take a minute now, especially when
Yeah,
you're talking
you
alarms and all
especially if you
this.
connect special hazard. Like as soon as you connect that to all of them, that's the big game changer.
Dude, it's wild. And it's that stuff is it's alarms on steroids. That's the best way to describe it. Because once you get the thing disabled, it's just an alarm inspection, but it's the whole point of getting that thing disabled. And usually you walk in, they're like, hey, this is a $5 million piece of equipment. You better not screw this up. Awesome, no pressure.
Those are my
Like,
favorite ones.
like,
You got
yeah.
Well, we don't.
Eric Turgeon and Austin Halford in here, pumping
Uh
you up. The he said
Austin Halford, I work with him pretty often. He's a cat for sure.
Eric says the two-door fire truck red Pontiac all makes sense now.
Man, I we grew up together.
Oh,
That's a whole
shit.
other story right there, man. He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Corlin says he's reading and studying his sprinkler books right now while listening to the Best Fire Protection podcast. Thank you,
Man,
Corlin.
thank
That's
you.
great. Appreciate that.
Get it.
You
We're all
guys are
here to
Get it.
bring
awesome.
you exclusive content. Fire
Get it.
protection
618
professionals.
subscribers. We got to hold on, Brian. Shush up. We got another subscriber.
Jeez, why don't you just do it like you did last night? On Tuesday,
Hit
just
the like
interrupt
button.
everybody talking.
Yeah.
Hey, wow, we got another
Shut
subscriber.
up. Hey, shut up.
Oh my gosh, man!
Not bad. It's exciting, all right?
Sorry, Matt. Sorry,
I'm
Matt, for getting
I'm
cut off
excited for
from Bobby on Tuesday.
Matt understands the
Jeez.
excitement, all right? You gotta just share the excitement. Don't forget to hit the like button, all right? It's at
Another thing you don't
it's at
do
9.
is have Bobby do a open box live. Like
Why?
he will interrupt everybody. He is like
No.
digging in the box. Oh, I got this. Look at this.
Oh shit.
That's not a show at all. We'll never do that again. We tried it one time. Argo sent us a box with all kind of goodies.
Bro, that was the
And then,
first. That was the beginning. That's the first box I ever got from anybody.
oh my gosh. It was
How did
like,
you feel in the first box? You couldn't even get the damn thing open. Huh? You were able to like record it and think about it, and I had to do mine live on the show, and then what? Not talk about it? It had all this cool
no,
stuff.
it was a train wreck. I thought it was terrible.
Listen, we're gonna do more unboxing. It's just gonna
Yes,
be.
but we'll let Bobby talk.
I'll.
That way,
Well, no, I'll mute myself, and then you can do the talking. I'll like hold it up. It'll be a team effort. You'll be alright.
yeah, I don't know. It's
I
like
don't
a
think he'll let you do the talking. I'm just
Need a
saying.
subscriber
it's like a Jack
animation
Russell with a new
for all
toy.
the new subs. Yo, how do I do it, Corlin? I don't know if I want to do it right in the middle. But there definitely is like this little widget thing we could do, and then I just don't know how to set it up. I thought
But
it's
as far as going back to like the super
good
inspectors
call
or
though. I'm
like
gonna
you
check it
said,
out.
like a hybrid, there's not many around, and I think it comes back to companies not putting in the time to train or having the people that can train. Like I know, like my father did it, and then we know like Chad, but over in California, but like they would have to learn this from one company, move to another company to another division and learn it, and then it kind of just learns it all through their career. But it's not common at all for a company that's like, hey, we are going to pay for this and we're going to show you how to do all this. Like it just doesn't happen. If you're,
No,
yeah, I mean,
no,
if you're,
it doesn't happen. You're 100% right. And that's the thing. I tell companies like any company, even my own, I'm like, look, I said, you need to, especially if you want these guys to do all these disciplines, you need to train them. And they're like, yeah, I know, but that costs money, that's time and everything. And I agree. I'm like, yeah, totally agree. I said, but here's the scary part. If you don't train, if you train them and you invest this money, they're like, what if they leave? I'm like, yeah, but what if you
yeah,
don't train them and they stay? Then what? Like you've got these guys out here doing all this craziness. So it's it is a challenge though for sure. But I
yeah.
think that's where the direction of the industry is going is that's what companies want, you know?
As they say, a catch 22.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Learn it all. Learn whatever you can. That's something that the unions are pretty good offering with the a lot of these 5-year apprenticeships where they get to use this in their facility wherever their facility is, and they get to see a little bit of everything hands on. Where I know a lot of the non-union guys don't have that.
And my big thing is just go talk to the other guys too. Go talk to the other departments. I mean, I had Mike Bardell, one of the best alarm guys I ever knew, was like, I just went up, hey man, I want to learn about this. Or he's a suppression guy too. I'm like, I want to learn about this. He did. That's all they did. Oh yeah, you want to learn? Yeah, come on. You free labor, free help, sure, whatever. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is just if you ask, I've never met anybody that says no, I'm not taking the time for it. It's usually pretty open arms, you know.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just like anybody else in the field, whoever you're talking to, unless they're just extremely unmotivated person, like everybody wants to improve. I
Yep.
don't think anybody really wants to lay back and
Well,
want
there's
to.
definitely some unmotivated people.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely. So
Yep.
that's why I wanted to put that out there. Like,
There's
the
definitely
guys that are
some
just
unmotivated people,
they
and
hate
then,
life. They,
but
time to go home, they still hate life. Like,
Matt
there's
Bass
definitely
says, "I
some,
am where I am from learning sprinkler, fire alarm, and special hazards. Having all of that makes you super valuable." That's
Oh,
it. Just
oh,
always
for
say yes. I've
sure.
always said yes.
Like if I was hiring a guy and he can do it all, I'd be like, what do you want? What do you want?
Networking, networking, networking. It's what all of us need to do these days. You're right. You're
yep.
right.
Yep.
And going to the networking, that's why we started the Dope and Tape show. So
That's
we
it.
have this
So,
community. And that's why
so
we have the Discord. So everybody
NFPA is
has
going to
somewhere to go.
Orlando in June, and AFSA is going to Denver in September. And let's meet. Let's link up there. We're going. Let's say hi. Everybody should go. It's a great. I think it's a great time.
Oh, I think it's awesome. And you get to see about all the new things in the industry. And for me, I think even more than seeing the new things in the industry is that you can ask questions on things that you don't know a whole lot about. And then you can leave knowing way more. Like, hey, what if this happens? How do I fix this? And you're talking to the experts.
Yeah, the best person to possibly talk to about something new
Right.
from whatever
Exactly.
company it is, whatever manufacturer you're
Right.
at.
Or if you don't like something, you have the chance to go tell them and explain why you don't like
Yep.
it. I did that to a company while we were over in Orlando. I explained to them, hey, I don't like this because of this and this and this and this, and it's not just me because we had this story and this story, this story, and if you could just change this to that on this piece, then it'll be great. But right now it sucks. And they
Yep.
were like, "What? I never heard of this." And they were like, "This," and I mean, they took it with open arms, the critiques, and I thought that was great.
Are
And I
plumbers
even
allowed to
think,
go? Yeah, you can
like
go,
for
Gage.
example, and then another company who thinks about and listens to their customers is like Victaulic. They had that stupid oval handle that everybody hated.
Oh, the
I think,
football vet,
oh, dude, everybody, that's the worst decision
hate them.
ever.
Yes,
So
hate
now
them.
I think that's gone. I don't think they're using that. I
No,
think they
I ain't
took
seen
that.
them in a while.
But they
No,
were put in for so many years
thank
that they're
goodness.
still everywhere.
Gosh.
Yes,
They're
yes,
Oh
they
still
are.
gosh.
everywhere. Man, carpal
God,
tunnel.
No,
My wrist hurts thinking about it.
just put your channel locks on the rod and just screw that thing. Just break the
You
cotter
gotta
pin
like
and take
you
it
gotta
off.
like
Like you don't need this anyway.
you gotta overspin that thing to get it to
Oh
go.
my gosh, my hands hurting just
Anybody
thinking
can
about
go,
it.
Gage. Look it up. Orlando, look up NFPA, Orlando, AFSA, Denver.
No, I think
And you
AFSA you
and
have to it costs money to go, but
you
I
want to
think
be
NFPA you can go. I think it might be like free to get into the expo.
yeah, the expo's free, yeah. Training sessions and yeah. It might be a cost
But the
associated.
training sessions were awesome. They were definitely really awesome at AFSA. Man, they were killer.
Years ago, the mandatory training was not an option. That's like another thing that the local I work for, they offer, like refresher courses for the journeyman that you can sign up for. You can sign up for a fire pump course or, backflow course. You can sign up for all those
that's a
different
huge
courses.
benefit, man, to have that available because that's massive, man. Continuing education is huge. You know,
I couldn't think of that. Continuing education. That's what it was.
yeah. Chris Logan hits the nail on the head, man, when he's like on the Fire Sprinkler podcast, when he's like, the industry's going to change without you if you don't change, like something along those lines. But he's 100%, man, because it's the stuff that's coming out now is like, if you're not like, you just look all of a sudden, where the hell did that come from? Like all of a sudden, it's just it's going fast, quick.
Well, you can see that. I think you can see it the most in drive outs, like how they're
100%.
changing and adapting. Like even with the new reliable that we just dropped a video on.
Yep.
That's all stainless steel internals, which you can just swap out with a kit. You don't have to
Yeah.
change the whole valve
Yeah, that was
anymore.
cool.
And then they also expanded the faceplate so you can pop it off easier.
No, I
It's
was
not
so in the
flush.
I'm so in the moment when we're there, like videotaping that when I was editing that video, I was like I was realizing everything that he was telling us about it, you know? Like when I was then like editing it later.
You're like,
I
oh,
didn't I didn't
whoa,
pick
this
up all
is
I didn't
cool.
pick up all that info when we were recording, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, there's so when we were there, it's just so much, and
Like
we're
he's
also in the minds of working.
yeah, but
Like
you're
we are,
also like seeing all this cool stuff. You're like a kid.
yeah. So it's all at the same time. Oh, what do we need to do next? Let's go. Let's go. We
You're
don't
like
have
a
much
kid, you're
time.
seeing everything that you want to do, then you're doing your hobby and you're videotaping, but then I got this brick tied to my leg. This guy's loafing around. It's like having a kid with you, you know? He's got to pee every 5 minutes. Corlin says, I wish Canada had more schooling training for foam systems. I only got to see one system. It took me 16 years to really be able to work and build and test a foam system.
Now let's. So as
Yeah.
far as foam systems inspections wise, there is the
Isolate the
I can
tank.
get it by
Isolate the tank.
inspection, and then there's also a full on foam inspection where you hook up computers, like it gets deep. So
Yep.
when people say, "Oh, we test foam, we inspect foam,"
It's
like,
what
do
every
you?
5 years you got to actually flow foam, right?
You have to, and then I think I don't know if it's like 10 years, but you have to check the bladder on the inside. It might
Have
be weird.
fun with that.
Yeah, and then but there every year you hook up like a computer
Oof.
to it. I don't know it much in depth
If
into
if
like
you're ever gonna work with
So
a foam
it's
system, the
super
best thing you could
complex.
ever do is build it brand new and test it and commission it, and then hopefully never deal with that again. Let
No,
the
but Mike,
inspectors
do
go
you
and
do the
play with the
annuals like the
bladder and
full on
shit.
foam annuals?
So yeah, look, you're 100% right. Foam can get wild real fast, but the biggest thing, and I think this is another thing on the inspection side too, is with foam systems, you not only have to discharge that foam, and if the install was done right, you'll have a test manifold similar to a test header,
Excuse me.
where you can hook up and flow and discharge that foam generally into a frac tank, because nowadays, you put any kind of foam on the ground and EPA is going to freak out. But you'll generally hook to a frac tank. But the thing that I think that's missed a lot is that you have to know the system demand. So you have to flow the system demand to make sure that proportioner is mixing the correct amount of foam. So that is what gets missed a lot. Is a lot of guys. I just did a place recently where kind of the same deal. We got a foam system inspection. Awesome. Get out there. And I'm like, cool, where's your frac tank? Oh, we didn't order one. Okay. How are we doing this? Like, and then it was like, oh, we got a blocker valve, but it's 35 feet in the air and we don't have a lift. I'm like, well, and you got foam generators in an aircraft hangar. So it creates instantly a pile of issues. And I'm like, well, I can't say the system is fully capable of what it's going to do if, number one, I don't have the tools or the equipment, and number two, if you guys aren't set up right. But I think that gets missed a lot with foam systems. And you're right, Brian. The bladder, I think that's, and I'm probably wrong, but I think it's every 10
It's a weird
years.
number. It's not a
Yeah,
five
it's
or
like
10. I think it's like something like a 12 or a 7, maybe a 7.
12
It's
sounds
a not
better.
a it's not a odd it's a odd not like a odd as far as like odd and even, but it's not like our typical
Dang nabbit, where's
year.
Chris Logan when you need him? You already said his name once.
Yeah.
I just said his name. Maybe you say his name 3 times and he'll appear. Hit us with it, Chris.
But that's the thing with foam is, and then you got to think about not just cleanup, but then you got to, okay, now I got to refill them and all this stuff. I mean,
Do you have the
I
foam
don't,
with you? Is it the same compatibility as whatever foam is in there? How
and
do you know what's in there?
and then sample testing too. So if you have a bladder tank, and okay, so now you've got to take foam samples to make sure that bladder has not been ruptured. So you got to take the shell water sample, you got to take the foam concentrate sample. And again, it goes back to that proportioner too. So I have yet to see a job that we went on that, at least in my experience, and I'm sure others can correct me, but it's almost like one of those things like when you had like Willis Lacrosse, the fire pump guy, who I
Yeah.
met him. I went to one of his classes. He's awesome, but it's almost one of those things like foam systems in general. you really need someone or a company that deals with that. Like that's their bread and butter because like I can do it, but I need X, Y, and Z, and the stars have to align, and all these butterflies got to be in a row. Like it can get
Yeah.
hairy real
So
quick, and it's
I
art
used to
forms.
do it. I used to do it, and then I one year I when I started like selling and everything, I subbed it. And then I
Yeah.
went on site to see the sub that I was a representative, and the all the extra things he was doing more than I was like, there's there's levels to this.
Yeah,
And
Hundred
Buddy
percent.
came for
yeah,
us, and he had a Pelican case, a decent
yeah,
sized Pelican case that had like he was a scientist, bro, like with a scale and
yeah,
fucking all
yeah.
little
So
tubes and shit and
I was
mixers,
not
and I
doing
was like,
that.
I was just like, let me
Yeah.
know when you want to see the foam happen. I know how to make that happen. I don't know nothing about testing it, and then
Oh, and that's another thing too is the detection system too on the system. So this is where it kind of ties into the alarm side of the house because that solenoid has got to fire that system. So if you've got a solenoid on that, it's essentially a pre-action system, but with open heads or foam generators or whatever, a lot of guys would just pull that solenoid off, stick a piece of all thread rod in there, and be like, "Oh, well, it magnetized. It's good." I'm like, "The hell with that! Put it on the solenoid. I want to see that thing dump. So I'm going to dump it twice. I'm going to do a manual release and I want to do it electrically. And if I'm going to do it, I want to do it. If I have to choose, it's electric because no one's going to be there to go run in there and hit that manual release. You need to make sure the electrical components are firing that system and dumping it because that's when that system is going to go off. And I think it's a big thing because that's where, I mean, look, I'm a sprinkler guy, but we don't like wires and electricity. I mean, so we're kind of like, that's the alarm guy's problem. Well, not really. The solenoid is your problem. You got to figure out how that thing works. So when you start getting into this like special hazards, foam systems, you almost got to be the best of both worlds. You got to be a sprinkler guy, but you got to know the detection side of the house. And I think that's kind of where that cross training stuff comes in. I think that's real beneficial to have that mix.
just
No, I agree.
don't set
The
off
same
that
thing
foam
with as far as like inspections wise,
accidentally.
when you're talking about solenoid is like the pre-action. People hit the solenoid, just throw a screwdriver in. Okay, it's good, and
No.
even with pre-actions, a lot of people will just dump it and not actually smoke a smoke or hit a
Yep.
heat, and
Yep.
it's almost I'd say embarrassing in a
Moral of the
way.
story is you got to do it right. Do your job right.
Well,
Yeah,
and if you're a company, if you're not cross trained, get an alarm guy to come with you, man. I mean, they're not, they'll help you. I mean, hey, look, I don't know what, especially earlier in my career, it was like, man, I don't know how this crap works. Like, I'm just a dumb sprinkler guy with a
yeah,
pipe wrench. Like, I
yeah.
don't know how this.
Pre-actions can be
Yeah.
they can be like intimidating.
Luckily for
All
us,
that trim, all
I
the
have the.
extra trim
Do
and
you would you
everything.
not always have an electrician with you, you guys?
I did it on my own.
Yeah.
Heck no,
See,
on my
But
so
own.
I would
my
always
father
have
also taught me how to do it too. So it's not
yes,
like I
there
didn't
would
have good
never be a
training.
time where there's like a sprinkler guy unless it's emergency or he holds both licenses, but a master electrician's gonna do anything
Well, it's
wires.
also different up in Mass.
Like
Yeah.
the solenoid, obviously yes, but anything wiring, like there's 100% going to be an electrician there for me to ask because he's going to at least be a fire alarm guy that takes the panel out for me, and I can be like, "Yo, Bubs, like what's wrong with these wires?"
No, no. Look, for an example, me or Mike in Atlanta or Alabama, we can hire your son as a foreman just right now. Like we can
Mm-hmm.
do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
crazy.
not. Yeah, I'm
It's,
not.
it's the Wild West.
Yeah,
That's yeah. You can't even an apprentice has to be registered with the state of Massachusetts to be on a job site and have an OSHA 10.
dude. I was on the job site at 15.
Well, me too, but that's different.
It's
I'm
different
talking
now.
about doing it legally.
Legally, okay. Yeah.
The
Gotta be
statute of limitations
gotta
ran
be
out on that one. It's
18. Gotta
fine.
be 18 with a GED or a high school diploma, and you gotta have your Massachusetts card, and you gotta be registered.
Yeah.
Licenses, baby,
Yeah, they would
licenses.
put me on there. They would give me a vest and a hard hat. It's like, don't talk to nobody.
Yo, what up, Flo? The solenoid needs to be kept on to activate the valve, not taking it off and putting a screwdriver through it. It needs to be live. If you're not
That's right.
testing your
I
detection
agree.
with a pre-action deluge or foam, don't even bother. Nobody will be there to pull the manual release when the fire happens. So I always thought that too. And the foam system that I did, it has its manual release at the controller, but then it also just has two pull stations. That's the only way it's going off.
So
So
the
almost like the pilot, if the helicopter were to allegedly or per se go down, the pilot has to be uh, able to jump out and pull the fire alarm.
Yeah, the famous words, it depends. Like a lot of like aircraft hangars, for example, you'll have heat probes all throughout the hangar, and they'll be cross zoned, which means it's going to take two devices in order to electrically activate that solenoid. So I mean, there's going to be manual releases. You could have straight up pull stations or anything, and even abort switches. I've seen those like next to them to stop it in case of a absolute catastrophe. But most of the time, yeah, they're going to fire. And another thing, on a side note too, with that foam, is that concentrate when it sits in that trim line, it turns into glue. If it doesn't move around, man, that stuff like that's another reason why you want to make sure that you're doing manual release and electric. Is that concentrate will literally be like glue if it sits in there for too long and doesn't move around. It's like anything, you need to move it around a little bit because I can't tell you how many times, like, okay, go ahead and fire the solenoid, fired, nothing, crickets. I'm like, uh-oh. And then you open that up and it's just caked. That half inch or three-quarter line is just caked up with that. It's like rock hard. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would never have
Now
known
I
that.
have done the screwdriver and the solenoid thing before. Now I would note that I did that on the
Yep.
inspection, but
Yep.
like if it's a deluge valve with a full deluge system with open heads, and then there's not a testing control valve above it, I couldn't introduce water, or if it was going into a freezer and there wasn't a test control valve, like an isolation valve, then I would do it that way and I wouldn't introduce water. But
Let me
I
ask you this,
wouldn't green
Brian.
tag it.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Brian. Did when you had those open head systems, so we used to, if they were like, hey, you cannot dump any water or what, even if it was just a standard no foam, just water, you can't dump water out here at all. We used to just hook up air and blow air through it, just because, especially down south, mud daubers will just make nests in those drops, and then you go to blow air, and hey, I'm not getting any air out of these four heads over here, and there's a mud dauber's nest built up, in a 1 inch piece, 1 inch drop. So that was something we do too. Like, okay, we can't dump water. Cool. Let's blow air through it. Like, let's just see it.
I get that, but the problem is, it's not in code to do it that way.
No, it's not. I
Thing.
agree. I agree. It's not, but at least you can.
Get an idea. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a gray area to
Yep.
pass it or to put it as a deficiency, you know? But I mean
Yeah.
that's a big gray area. I get what you're saying. Just at least do this, you know?
Yeah, like I mean, and again, I completely agree. Note it, like unable to perform full trip tests, unable to discharge water, performed air tests. At least note what you're doing, because that's the thing, man. Liability is massive.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about covering your ass as an inspector. Like you
dude.
need to put in there what you did and what you didn't do and how you did it sometimes.
100%. If I tell everyone, like, look, at the end of the day, you're covered because standards and codes and standards are going to tell you, they're always going to go back to the building owners, always. But your name is going to get drugged through the mud through anything. So if you didn't do something, cool. Just put on there, didn't do it. Like we're just talking about with the solenoids, like, hey, unable to test solenoid because of X, Y, and Z. Building owner said he didn't want me to do this. I tell everyone, especially the new guys coming up, like, write this stuff in crayon, like you're talking to a third grader. Like who, what, where, when, why. I mean, just try to keep it as simple as you can. You don't have to get crazy detailed with it. You just keep it very basic and kind of open to interpretation, but just the bare minimum of what you did or did not do, especially if you know that you were supposed to do it. A lot of times I've had guys come to me and they're like, man, I couldn't find the inspector's test on this wet system. So I just hand tripped the flow switch. And I'm like, you did what? And they're like, oh, the alarm came in. I'm like, but did it though? Because what if that paddle's broke in there? You
Yeah.
don't know. You didn't run no water. And code
Exactly.
says you shall run water. That shall word, So look, note it. Note what happened. If it's
Did you
worst
know
case
on the new standard 2017 that is it no 2017 is what we're going off of in Georgia now. Was it 23 in FPA? What's the new standard? I'm
it's
drawing
17, 20, and
the new
23.
25 is what's the new one?
22.
Is it 22?
I think
No.
so.
Now we're on 2020 over here, but
The latest
17,
edition
yeah.
is what year? What freaking year
Don't
is
get
it?
any water on the dirt, Mike.
2023. Yeah, NFPA 25 2023.
That's a story, Bobby. I'll get into that.
Jeez.
That's a story.
They
We
can
need
write
to
it in
really get
crayon,
hooked
but
up
I'm
with
not reading
NFPA
unless your
links.
name's
I
on
need to
it.
get on. I'll get on that.
It's
Get us on
Matt.
there. Anyway,
Matt says 2023.
yeah, that's what I found. We need to get on the NFPA link because there's been several questions. We have it. We just haven't.
I just got
opened
it.
our
It's
account.
awesome. It's
Send
awesome. I just
send me the
got it.
link, dude. NFPA 2025 NFPA 25 2023. It's already out. Yeah. So what were you gonna tell us about it, Bri? That it says
Okay,
it
so
says you can finger blast the flow switch, right?
That's right. For 3 years, just like you would a flow meter on a fire pump.
Does it though?
1000%.
Does it though?
It does.
No,
It
I
does.
think
And
they're talking about those electrically operated flow switches that have the key switch testers. I think that's what Potter came out with them.
so let's talk about that. So you're
All right.
saying you think, and you're saying that it's this kind and not that kind, but it doesn't specify. It's a flow switch.
Send
So
it. Send.
any company that comes out with a switch, electronic operating device, it's a switch. That's
No. Oh,
flow switch.
Matt doesn't like it. Matt doesn't
Flow
like
switch.
it, Bri.
Where's the jury? Yeah, send the
Yeah,
jury out.
Matt, send me
NFPA.
Matt, hit me on LinkedIn. Hit me on LinkedIn with what I should be let's prove Brian wrong. This is my favorite thing.
I like Brian.
I'm just
Come
kidding.
on.
No, Matt said no, Brian.
Oh,
But
yeah?
I remember talking about this and I
No,
was
you don't want to do it because
No.
it feels wrong, or no, that it's wrong.
No.
Right. I'm pretty sure that's what it says in there. Do I agree with it?
Shit.
No.
So
And my dad, when
I have
was
a little
working
trick.
with him, he said the same thing.
I
He
got
said
it.
the same thing as
I
you.
got a
How
trick
do you
when you're
really
on
know?
when
Did
you're
it
on a
really
brand new
pass?
high rise job, and say you're putting in 40 commercial risers. You should have an apprentice go, and before that, right out of the box, take the flow switch off and see what they're all timed at, and get them all timed to about 40 seconds, and have them do it ahead because those little dials might say it's 40 seconds, but they never
Yes.
are. And you don't need power. A lot of people assume it has to be wired to test it, and you don't. It's all mechanical. You pull the cover off, hold the trigger down, and listen for the click. And that's when it trips. And try to get them all at 40, then put the cover back on. And then when you put them all in, you kind of already have a nice little base. You know they're all going to click at 40. And that's when I would say that you should have somebody finger blasting them.
But that's the new one. Here's another controversial.
The flow switches from Potter still move the paddle.
The
flow switches from Potter still move the
we talked about this before on the show.
I don't think that's what he's looking for, Matt.
The exact code, but it's basically a damaged or painted head or corroded head, anything that could be obstructive of it performing is up to the inspector to decide. As in, it's no longer a straight up pass fail.
I think I might have.
Yeah, detrimental to sprinkler performance.
Right. Yeah,
yes,
that's another thing that I am not cool with.
Me too. And look, to backtrack, I'm not cool with the whole. I get exactly what you're saying about the flow switches, and I'm not like.
Oh, I'm not okay with it. I wish it wasn't flow free, man. But the code is the code.
Yeah. Well, that's because of California, man. They don't want. No offense to Cali people, but they don't want you dumping any water on concrete out there, apparently. But that
you can offend them. They're all right. They're thick-skinned out there. The Cali chapter, they know.
Yeah. Well, we're from the South. We do things different.
Yeah, we flow that water.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's right. That's right.
I mean, we're kind of turning into little Cali up here because I get that, like when you're flowing water, or even like I've on multiple occasions, probably a half a dozen occasions where it's usually a female, but they're like asking if I'm taking apart an oil pipe. Is that an oil pipe? Is that oil in that pipe? What do you know, or the odor? Like we had one person complain of the odor, so the laborers or the GC or whatever, they went in there and they sprayed like Fantastic, like the
Hmm.
Fantastic cleaner, like the purple one, and then like a different person complained about that smell. It's like
Wow.
I
Can't
like this
win.
I like the smell of that dirty water.
Yeah,
Oh.
can't win.
At first,
Mm.
when I was an apprentice, when I first started, I was like, "Oh man, this smells terrible." But now, when I smell, I'm like, "Oh yes, like it smells awesome."
Let's see what Matt just sent me.
That's
Um,
on it with the code reference.
a successful completion of the auto test will activate both sets of normally open contacts on the flow switch. If the auto test detects a problem with the trip, stem paddle assembly, or if there is no water in the pipe, neither normally open contact will operate or the flow switch will indicate a trouble condition at the test switch and transmit a trouble signal to the fire alarm panel.
Look, that's where everything's going to, man. It's going to computers and smart systems, smart buildings. I mean, that's where
Yeah,
our industry is
I
going.
just did my first one of those, and I'm proud to say that because I know that every drain that I've ever put in is not smart yet. So that's work. If I got to go make them smart, then that's work. But I did put in a drain that you could. Remember Tyson told us about that in Vegas? You can just close. He can just. I never put in a butterfly, but we had a drain, a solenoid drain, where you could drain it like from the fire alarm room, and you could test the flow right from the fire alarm
Wow.
room. You just open this thing, and you could test the flow. But we had Tyson on Vegas, a popular guy on here, and he was telling us how you can like drain, like you can shut the butterfly on level 30 and open the drain like from the fire alarm control room.
Yep. Yep. I've seen that.
That's
Yep.
crazy, but
It's getting wild. Yeah.
you have to go and update those valves. So that's work on valves that more or less probably wouldn't be changed out for 50 years, 40, 50 years. So now we get to go and change them out earlier to these ones that are probably going to break. And you're going to
Yeah,
push the
Hmm.
button.
SPP
You're
pumps,
going to push the
they
button and the button's not going to work. And you're going to have to go up
oh
there
all
and
the
you're going to have
time.
to go up
It's
there and do
it's
something.
electronic.
That's
Yeah,
it.
the SPP pumps was talking about that. I sat in on a on an instructional, and they said that they're gonna have a fully automated and monitored fire pump room.
Whew.
It goes to an app.
Those are the guys we talked to said we were going to go out there. They were going to have us out.
Yeah,
That's your buddy. You got to reach
yeah.
out to that
So
guy.
yeah,
We had
give them
them
a call.
complain about a gas smell and they dispatched the fire for a gas leak. That's a good one. It's just sprinkler water. Oh, that's awesome.
As the inspections goes, you ever like had a customer that could not find the contact to put their system on test and everything? So you just like maybe throw a tamper out there to see if they call.
So the only number I've kept up with my whole career is 22 right now. 22 times I've rolled fire trucks. So that's the only number I've ever
Shit.
kept up with. But yeah, that's always fun when they're like, I don't have a clue, or this guy he used to know and he's no longer here. Usually what I'll do, and look, if you're not familiar with alarm panels, this is the best way I've found to do it is go to the alarm panel and pull one of the battery leads. That's all you got to do is pull one lead, and that's going to throw a trouble signal. And usually on a trouble, someone will get called. Um, Absolute worst case scenario for what I've done is again noted on the report. Like if it came down to it, I've been there for too long, and I'm like, man, I can't figure this out. Like, no one's calling you. We don't know if it's monitored. The worst thing you could call the local fire department wherever you are, depending on jurisdictions. That can get wild. But I mean, I've been to some places where like you roll fire trucks, you're getting fined $500. So it's like, that's back on the owner. I'm just going to note, hey, visual inspection only. Terrible. I hate it, but it's your building. If you guys can't figure this out, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we can send trouble signals all day, but if no one's getting phone calls, I don't really know what to do at this point. It's kind of back on you.
When the truck shows up, you got to say, "Oh, I guess it works."
I mean,
The
I've
guys are
I've
pretty
done it
quick.
before.
Tell them they were quick. Be like, damn, you guys got here in 3 minutes.
And look, and those 20 and that 20 those 22 times, I would say about at least 15 of them were like, oh, the system's on test. And then next thing you know, or it's dual monitored. There's 2 monitoring companies.
Oh,
Like,
and you're still gonna take the blame for those ones where you were set up?
yeah, I count them all. Anytime the trucks roll, I'm like, look, my bad. And they're like, well, what happened? I'm like, they said it was on test or, but I always take it, man. It's just,
I'm always able to blame somebody else for that. Because like I said, the alarm guys, I never would deal with the panel. That would never be my fault if the alarms go off. Be like,
That's something you would do.
Dang alarm guy. Hey, he said I was good. That's an alarm guy's famous last words. You should be good.
You should be good. Yeah.
You should be good. Fucker. So you got any good flood stories? Ever have anything blow apart?
So I have, well, not blow apart. I've been lucky on that, but I have actually one great story. So on my very first like solo mission is what I call it. I was coming home and they called me and they're like, "Hey, can you go change out? There's 6 heads at this warehouse. It's no big deal. Just swap these 6 heads out, ESFR heads." Yeah, cool. I can do it. First job by myself, no one around. Hey, it's 1 6-inch riser, no big deal. Wet system, easy panel, cool. Get there, and I'll tell you, I'll fill you on the backside what I didn't notice. But so I get there, drain system, everything's going smooth, and it's an office area, and it's a big warehouse, but then there's an office area, and there's again 6 ESFR heads. They're corroded to crap because it's like an acid mixing room, and I go in there and I need to get 12 or 10-foot ladder. I'm like, man, these are kind of high. Get up there. And there's a bunch of people working in there. I said, no, you don't have to move nothing. It's cool. I just got to change these heads out. No big deal. And, yeah, you already see where this is going. So I got a 5-gallon bucket and I got my slam valve. I'm like, good to go. No big deal. Start turning that head. And I'm turning it and I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of water. And I turn it one more time. I mean, this joke, I thought it was live, but it wasn't. This joker blasted out of my hand. My 5-gallon bucket was standing there, blasted the bucket out of my hand. And I'm kind of in like shock moment. Like I grab my valve and I start trying to put it in there. And I'm like, kind of like, I think it's live. So I'm freaking out. I look down and I see these like 4 dudes scattering like out of the room, running out of the room. And I froze because the only thing I could think of, they were all these Asian guys. And they were running, and the first thing that popped in my head is like, you ever seen the Godzilla movie? We're like, Godzilla!
I knew you were gonna say that.
Running. And I started laughing, and I'm getting blasted with this thing, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, oh my god! I finally get the valve in, and it drained for 2.5 hours through a garden hose. And I come to find out that 6-inch riser came up like 50 or 60 feet and ran and then dropped down in this office. So all that 6-inch was trapped. The whole building was trapped. I had no idea. And there was no low point drains, no nothing. That joker drained forever. And it was supposed to be like a quick, easy come in.
So quick.
And that was my first job by myself. And I was like, I picked the wrong career. I don't know about this.
The boss is like, hey, how'd that easy one go? Well,
oh my
about
God,
that.
Yeah. It was funny, but man, it was bad.
Sitting down.
Yeah, but it worked out all right. But I mean, I just sat there for 2 hours mopping up their floor, and it was a mess, man. It was just. But
so is it dope? Is it dope and tape or tape and dope?
Dude, dope and tape all
dope
day
long.
Dope and
tape, dog. Come on.
Except heads. Heads are just tape only. Everything else is dope and tape.
I did the same thing.
I hear that
just
a lot.
tape only.
I like a little dope on there.
All day long.
Love it. Dope and tape. You heard it here first, people.
Yes.
Man, hey Mike, you've been a blast, and if I feel like with you, like we barely even scratched the surface of stories.
Dude, I made notes on my phone. Like I'm kind of I have like a notepad. Like I was taking notes and stuff. Like I'm big on that. So yeah, I didn't even touch like any of them. So like yeah.
Tell the guys because a lot of people get like very intimidated. I mean, did you feel any pressure? Like we kind of just come and hang out. Was it easy to come and hang out with us?
We just shot the shit.
Yeah, it's just a conversation. I mean, I'm an introverted kind of person. I'm not really outgoing, and I kind of do my own thing. But that's what we were talking about earlier. Is like you're just like, hey man, just come hang out, and that's exactly what it is. We're just talking shop, man, and it's cool because you don't get to do this every day. You just sit here and talk shop, and
every
It's
different
fun.
individual that we have kind of has like, and we kind of go on like different little topics, and
Yeah.
we've both seen a lot. Great job, Mike. That's from Mike Donovan. Yeah,
Thanks,
you had
Mike.
some fans here.
Oh, geez.
You
That's
had
good.
some.
We'll have
So,
a
so let
thousand
what?
percent have you
We'll
back
just
on.
book you again. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it, man. I'd love to do this
Let's
again.
do like
This was awesome.
let's do
I
no
was
let's
super.
do November 14th.
Honey, is November 14th good? I have to talk to my
It's
boss.
Tuesday. Yeah, all right.
She says
I
yes.
do the same
November
thing. I
14th.
do
He
the same
said
thing.
Yes.
yes.
Yes. November
So how
14th
long
is
y'all been
good.
married?
We have been married for
Damn, put
7.
him right on the spot,
Oh
Brian.
man.
Huh?
Damn, put him right on the.
2016. Thanks, Brian.
Oh my bad.
2016. But
My
we've been together
Dude.
since 20. Look, we've been together since 2012. I know that.
Damn, all right.
bad.
Brian.
2016. We got
My
married.
bad.
You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. It's
Oh
fine.
shit.
I don't.
Okay, that's fucking good.
Oh yeah, my wife ordered our wedding cake for the wrong day, so there's that. But she's good.
She's good.
She's way
That's
smarter than me though.
that's
She's
awesome.
way smarter than me.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mine too. All
my
right,
bad. I didn't
this has
mean to
been
put you
awesome.
under the bus, man.
14.
Thank you so much.
My
Dude.
bad, he says. Fucking Brian.
My bad,
How
dude.
long you been married? You son of a- Oh
November
shit.
14th. Got it.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. Oh, so everybody watching live, watching the replay, listen on Spotify, thank you so much for listening to us. We appreciate it. The numbers are going up, and that's really cool
Yeah.
to see.
Spread
And
shop.
everybody's
Spread shop
commenting.
link is up here, right
That's
above
it.
us.
Spread shop links up there. If you want to
Come
get a
and
hat,
support
if you
us
want to get
and
a shirt,
hang out.
we're actively booking. If you want to come on the show, let us know. It doesn't matter who you are, just hit us up. If you want someone to answer you, you hit my DMs. If you want to be ignored, you hit Brian's DMs.
I do okay. I do
I'm
pretty good.
I'm just
I
kidding.
do pretty good. Definitely hit me up on LinkedIn.
Hit
I'm a
Brian on
1000%.
LinkedIn. He doesn't miss over
All
there.
over that.
But if you're trying to get hold of me, you know where to find me. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.